Here we are on day 18, being thankful for God for all the wonderful things that He has done for us. God consistently shows up over and over again. And the more we learn to be thankful and grateful for the things that He has done, is the more our heart opens to see that there is more that God has to offer us into this world than we can ever imagine. Today, I am so grateful for God's guidance. So, we are going to show some gratitude for God's guidance. God's guidance. You know how there are times in your life when you can't make a decision about something, or you're struggling to make a decision about something. How impactful it is when we go to God and pray for it. We have to learn to let go and trust that He knows what is best for us. I remember when I finally realized that God guidance is really the only thing I need, and I mean the whole thing. No, I am not saying that He hasn't placed people in our life that is smart, successful or expert in their field, but God is all knowing. He is omnipresent. There is nothing that God does not know. And so, who else is able to direct us best? God. And so, as we show gratitude for God's guidance, we are going to jump over to a very popular scripture, Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 to 6. Proverbs chapter says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you what path to take. I want to examine the scripture on two levels. The first level is understanding that as human, we can't always depend on our own decision. There are times when we make decision and then we found out later the consequences of that decision follow us. Some of the consequences of that decision follow us our entire life. Not just in that moment or a second or a few months, a few weeks. No. We have to face the consequences for the rest of our life. And this is why we must choose to depend on God to guide us through everything, even those small decisions, the simple decision. We can't trust ourselves to make what's the best decision for ourselves. No matter how many experience you have on this world, one of the things that I have learned is that when I trust God to make the decision for me, ooh, there is absolutely no consequences. Actually, the consequences are best for me or it fall into place that align with God's plan and will for my life. Which brings me to the second level. The second level said is the second part of the scripture, which is verse 6. It said, seek His will in all you do, and He will show you what part to take. So sometimes we come to God and we ask Him to help us with a decision to make because we don't understand, right? Example, let's say that you are going to marry someone. Because this is the biggest decision we make in our life as individuals. Who we are going to spend the rest of our life with. Now we can't take decision like that lightly because that person will be there for the rest of our life. You may not even get a real good chance to know someone. You may think you know someone in a year, and then you go marry them, and then you see there's a whole different thing. But do you know who know that person more than you do? Yes, God. And so if we go to Him for that decision, but we are also seeking His will. So now back up a little bit. What if God say, I created you on this world, but I don't want you to be married? Hmm. But you still went ahead and get married, right? Now your life take a turn for the worse. The point is, when we seek God will, no matter the decision is, we ask God not only if this is the person that He wants us to marry, if He even wants us to marry. Society just bring us to a place where we assume that as soon as we reach certain age, we have to get married, or that marriage is a complete must. God bless marriages, but that doesn't mean that He created everyone to be married. And sometimes we go against God will and we move into some holy matrimony, even if it's to a good person or the right person for you. But God may created you for a purpose that align with His will that does not include you having a partner. Right? So we have to see God will in addition to understanding and seeking His help when we make our decision. We also have to seek God's will for our life. That's just one example. When we put God will before our decision making, it helps us not only to walk on the path and the plan that He created specifically for us, but it also lessen our consequences that we go by. And so, as we meditate upon the scripture in Proverbs chapter 5, I also want us to grab our journaling and pause the screen right here and reflect on the time when God guided you in a decision. How did it turn out? It doesn't have to be a big decision, it could be a simple decision that God guided you in you. And how did it turn out? Did you see the difference when God lead you to that instead of you making decision? Once you spend some time writing, then you can unpause your screen and come back to right here. And I pray that while you were writing that, it brings you back to the best understanding with God. I have often seen things happen in my life where I did not involve God, and then I faced worse consequences ever. And in comparison to the time when I involved God, I'm sure you can see it in my face. The joy that comes out of waiting and trusting God and just allowing Him to be the one to the side. It's always best for us. Amen. And so we're going to take an action step today. I want you to ask God for guidance in a current decision you're facing. It could be you are deciding on a partner you want to get married. It could be a job that you want. That's the second big decision that we very rarely involve God in. Do you have to ask God if this the job you want, or you just look at the money you're making? So pray and ask God for a guidance in the decision you are making, and trust that He will lead you on the right path to take. Thank you for joining me today, and we will catch up and continue to give God gratitude for all that He has done for me and for you. God bless you.